I was subsequently interviewed by every local news station
Hell yeah.
and the FBI.
Speaking of outrage and then results, I want to ask
Thank you.
John about you have a saga, which
Yeah,
I would love for
so
people to hear about.
you guys actually got a little Easter egg of that right here. This is the Acadian
Oh.
Antifa flag.
Love it.
The what
So
Antifa flag?
so I'm from an area of South Louisiana called Acadiana.
Okay.
And it's like not a parish or a city, it's like an area, which is where like the Nova Scotians settled when they came down from Canada all them years ago. I'm not making this up. It might sound like a bit, but it's not. And so Acadiana is like just that area. And so I coined the phrase Acadian Antifa because I created this event where Antifa was taking over a neighborhood, the neighborhood of rich folk in my hometown.
Love it.
And
See it.
it was like it was a satirical event where I claimed that Antifa operatives were gonna set up in the parking lot of the fancy restaurant across the street from this neighborhood, and that we were going to, and then like people should bring their Antifa membership cards and their Antifa uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
And I said something about
do
arms
you have a
and
membership
courage,
card?
legs optional.
I'm not allowed to tell you.
But yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, none of you guys are allowed to talk about it. We all know the oath we took.
First rule of Antifa.
Yep. We all have the brand.
So from
Yeah,
there,
right?
it caught a lot of internet attention.
Well, I mean, like it caught a lot of, I mean, I guess everybody's internet attention is just attention now, but
Yeah.
like everybody was on the internet, so they saw it, but it caught a lot of local attention, and it caught the police's attention, it caught the FBI's attention, it caught the media's attention. And I was subsequently interviewed by every local news station
Hell yeah.
and the FBI. I was not interviewed by the local police department, despite them deploying the entire fleet of police vehicles to the restaurant. Basically, they filled the restaurant's parking lot. And I guess because it's COVID, they didn't really have that many people parked there. But I love how we say it's COVID, like it's Christmas. But
COVID season.
I don't know if we say that. I say that. I don't want to lump you guys in with me on there.
No, we're
but
endemic.
the demic. That's even cooler. So they had a bunch of empty cop cars parked at this restaurant where I said everybody was going to meet. And like there was maybe like I had somebody went and checked for me. I mean, I say for me, I had somebody who was already in the area let me know whether or not there were some people in the cop cars, and he said mostly not. And it was just really a bunch of silliness. It was all for show, but they then like later said they knew it was fake, but it resulted in another, well, it didn't result. The response, that was a response to some shit that was going on politically in my hometown, where they tried to defund these rec centers on the poor side of town, the north side.
That's so fucked
And yeah, and like those are the rec centers that I used growing up when I was playing basketball. I was playing basketball when I was warming the bench in middle school because we needed somebody on the team to have a team. There was like that small of a team. But anyway, boy, I was upset about that. And so I was like, all right, well, if you guys want to mess with the poor people, I'm going to mess with the rich people. And that's kind of what sparked the Antifa Takes River Ranch event, which is what we're talking about. And then there was a subsequent event to that called Antifa Takes Acadiana Mall. And the reason the Acadiana Mall was chosen, I believe, is because that was recently where they were protesting this shooting that had happened. It was a response to a cop shooting, another police shooting of a person who had their back turned, named Trayford Pellerant. And so I basically just did the mall thing as a response to the Trayford Pellerant thing, saying like, I mean, like I was just upset, and I was just like, I'm gonna mess with people again. And so I just did another event. It was also like, again, it was a satirical event. And in the event, I just said a bunch of crap that was like goofy, and they responded like it was serious again. And it's because like the people who fell for it, like the people who thought that, it's the same people who comment on Onion articles thinking they're serious. Like it's all those people. And so they're like, they're they like had police show up at the mall that day, and then they ran into the mall with arms, like with guns drawn, and had
Jesus.
people evacuate the mall. And like people lost pay because of this. And then certain people, like certain critics of mine, were trying to blame me for people's losing their pay, saying that my antics caused them to lose pay, when in reality it was the blown out of proportion response from the police and the city government
Yeah,
that
you're just
caused these
making a
people their
Facebook
pay.
event, having fun.
Well, they knew it was a
But I
joke
was
the whole
like,
time, so
yeah,
Yes.
and yeah, oh yeah, no
Stupid.
shit. And like they said that in like their lawsuit. I mean, the lawsuit completely contradicts like what they said and what how they're acting. But anyway, the critics, like random people on Facebook were like, oh, well, people lost pay because of this. And I was like, okay, well, if that's the case, hit me up and I will pay you back. I'm sorry. And then I started a little Venmo fundraiser for people to just throw me some money to raise money for whoever lost their pay.
Hell
And
yeah.
like maybe I want to say like 5 people hit me up, maybe less, maybe more. And I mean, they took me up on it, and I compensated them.
Cool. Well,
And the
'cause then you
offer's
can have a
still good if
discussion
anybody
afterwards.
listens to this. Well, yeah, and they weren't mad. The thing is, like, they were just like, hey, this guy was, making a statement, and now he's offering to pay me the money I lost. I'm not gonna not take him up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But like,
you're leaving
they
people on
weren't
the
like,
side.
hey, you asshole. They were just like, hey, yeah, can I get that?
Yeah.
That's the right move.
Yeah,
No,
that's
it was
totally
a
badass.
move.
So you're being, or you got sued. You
Oh,
are being sued.
yeah. So this is all
Right?
leading up to the local government was not happy with any of this and
Right.
are now suing me personally. The
They're
city.
suing you for making them look foolish.
Yeah. No, that's
Well, they're officially suing me for the cost of sending the police there. But if the police had done their homework, which I want to remind you that the police never called me, the FBI called me, and all these news stations called me, but the police never called me
It's
before the
so
first event
insane.
to ask if it
Can
was
I
real.
pause and ask how a phone call with the FBI goes? How does that go?
I'll tell you one second.
Join you. Where is it?
You get a pen action?
I do.
Nice.
Well, it was really interesting because they showed up to they only had the address that's on, well, they only had whatever address they had on file for my parents, I guess. Or my previous address was my parents' address or something. I don't know. So they showed up at my mom and my stepdad's house, and they leave my stepdad a card. The FBI agent left him a card and said, just could you have him call me, whatever.
So
I called him.
he goes up to your
go
stepdad and he
ahead.
goes, "Hi, I'm with the FBI and I'm looking for John." And your stepdad's like,
I
"Oh,
assume.
fuck."
Yeah, and my stepdad was like blowing up my phone. I don't remember what I was doing that day.
Well, yeah, the FBI is
It's so
after
funny
you.
because
Makes sense.
they tell you that like on like significant days when something significant happens, you're supposed to remember, but I have like no memory of what happened that day other than that phone call. I don't even remember what day it was, but yeah, anyway,
Because
that's
in
a
your
pretty
mind, it was
significant
like
thing.
this little joke that you had flung out, and like they're the ones having this insane disproportionate response. So
Yeah, well,
makes
it was
sense
still
that
the
you would
beginning
be
of the
like,
snowball.
"Oh, what?"
Yeah, the full snowball I would call like the lawsuit, the culmination of the snowball rolling down the mountain. But the snowball was still pretty small when the FBI got in touch with me, and so yeah. Anyway, they had my stepdad call me and say, you need to get in touch with the FBI.
Keep him on the phone for 30
Federal
seconds.
Bureau of Investigations. Yeah, keep him on the phone. They already know where I live.
Well, then you can figure out where
know
they
I mean,
live.
Oh, there you go.
They have some resources. Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah.
I could reverse trace them.
Just star 69
And the agent, it was so funny because the agent was like a Cajun man. Like I could tell in his accent that he's from the area.
Okay.
And so like, but he was just like, yeah, we gotta, follow up on all these things, but you're not being, because I was very defensive at first. Like I didn't want to say anything. I was like, "Can I ask what's regarding?" Like, I was like, and then like when he could see how defensive I was being, he was like, "Well, I'm not charging you with a crime if that's what you're wondering." I was like, "All right, well then what's up? What's going on?" But yeah, so he calls me and then he wants to know like whether it's real, which just standard like basic due diligence. Is it real? What was your intention with this event? And like, do you plan on doing another one? Blah 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 blah. And I didn't. I don't think. I don't know if he called me.
I'm gonna do a bunch of them. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. I mean, like I didn't have any plans, but I don't think I told him that I wasn't gonna do another one, because I did do another one. And like, but whatever. I mean, like I'm within my rights. It was a completely free speech covered event.
Yeah, we're all those free
non-event
speech
event.
people now.
Well, because they say it's like yelling fire in a crowded theater, which it's
Yelling
not, but we can get
Antifa
into
in an
why.
empty parking lot. Exactly the same.
Oh yeah, and the way I was trying to say is like it's more like yelling fire in a swimming pool, and like if people freak out and hurt themselves getting out of the pool, I'm sorry if you thought you were gonna catch on fire in a pool. Like I don't know what to tell you. And oh my gosh. Anyway, so the FBI, they were like, we could have gone straight to your apartment in Brooklyn, but because of the virus, it would have taken months to get an agent over there. And I was like, that's so crazy, like the bureaucracy that must go into just sending an agent to a person's house. Like, but yeah, and so he was like, yeah, they were just like, yeah, I don't know, I didn't say anything like that, but he just like, that's why they sent me to your parents' house. And yeah, and so it was just like basic questions, and then I never heard from them again, like because they just did their jobs and they determined that it wasn't a big deal. And if the cops had done that, but the cops aren't federal, the cops are, local, so they do whatever the mayor president, which is what Louisiana has, or at least Lafayette Parish has. A mayor president. We have parishes instead of counties, and then we have consolidated governments where like the parish/counties are consolidated with a like main city, and so the decisions that are made for the city are also made by the same people who make decisions for the parish. I'm not entirely sure the ins and outs of it. I'll learn that when I run for mayor president in a few years.
Hell yeah.
That's quite a title. I like it. It's like I'm the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
I am the mayor.
Yeah, like mayor to president.
Yeah.
I love it. I love all the jokes that get made about it.
So
yeah.
Just after all that happened, didn't you say that it was a lot of fun? Because I mean, it's fun getting attention, especially when you're a comic. For two, there were a bunch of lawyers that were just like, "Oh, hey, can I play here? I want to." Like they took
and so
opportunity.
Yeah, I had like I had a handful of lawyers not come after me, but like come for me as a client, and just tell me like some of them were very like celebrity driven. And some of them were very civil rights driven, and then some of them were very like ACLU. And so when the ACLU gets involved, it's great when the people don't have options. But when and like I just didn't feel like their goals would be the same as my goals, because there's no way that I'm coming out of this without like wanting some celebrity out of it. It's what I do. It's like literally how I plan. Like it's my retirement plan is to figure out how to be famous so I can have money one day. And so like of course there's going to be that element of it, but there's also the people I'm trying to help in my hometown, and so like I needed lawyers that would let me speak for myself basically, and I didn't think that the ACLU would do that. And so, and not to their discredit, they're just they need to maintain their image, and I need to maintain mine, and I don't like being I just don't like having a wet blanket thrown on top of me, so I just wanted to make sure. And I also didn't want to like be like this friggin' this like Chad of a celebrity whore,
Right.
And that's what one of the lawyers, I felt like he was just like, man, he goes, I have one question for you. How famous do you want to be?
That's like the other extreme.
And I was like, I mean, that was very like at first it's like my ears go up like a little puppy dog, but at the same time, like I have like other things that I care about.